So hello everyone. Welcome to the solar eclipse, new moon in Libra. Big energy. We are doing secret code name readings today. If you're not familiar with them, individuals purchase the readings, all right, via my Etsy shop, and they get their secret code names. So all of these readings are personal readings for someone. However, the beauty of these readings is that you can resonate to one of the secret code names, right? We're all connected in some which way, shape, or form. And so if you are drawn to a secret code name, chances are there's a message in there for you no matter when you catch it. So enjoy the readings. Okay, the secret code names will be time-stamped in the comments once the live stream is done. The secret code names are microphone, Barracuda, Deliac, and Mandalorian. Okay, those are the 4 secret code names. Now, once we get into the year 2024, I will no longer be doing secret code name readings like this. They will be picker readings for members only. So thank you to all of our members who support the channel. As of 2024, they will be picker readings with different themes and things like that for members only. You can join. You don't have to be without your moon readings. I decided to let pineapple patrons and higher have access to that. So as of 2024, pineapple patrons will be able to get not just the monthly zodiacs, but they'll be able to get the moon events as well. Okay, so for today's messages, now random, I have a deck that I hadn't used before, and I'm not familiar with runes. Okay, they are not my forte, but I have this little deck called the 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐼𝐻 Runic Oracle, and I was guided to open it and start drawing cards, right? And some cards are flying out. Now, I don't know what the fuck they mean. So if you are familiar with runes and want to leave some interpretation of the message that came through with these runes for everybody else, I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't even know how to pronounce some of this shit. Okay, not my motherfucking forte. But we've got 5 different runes that came out, and I gotta admit, I like the animal spirit messages on them. I do. I think their animal messages are fitting for the moon, but these are the ones that came out. Okay, what's up, Shock Proof? How you doing? Long time no see. We got 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝐿. What's this one here? 𝗏𝐵𝐺. I know I said that shit wrong. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝐺 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝐿. All right, so those are the runes in the most American ass way that I could probably butcher them. But those are the runes that came out. So if you are familiar with runes, like I said, and you want to leave an interpretation, channeled message for those runes, by all means, leave them in the comments, because I'm no help to y'all right now. When it comes to that, I've got to research that shit myself. So thank you to anybody with rune knowledge who knows what the fuck you're talking about. Now, back to the event at hand. Okay, back to the event at hand. I will be using, for each of the secret code names, the Wandering Moon Tarot, because this is alchemical harmony, right? This is some kind of alchemization to bring you into balance. So we're going to start with the Wandering Moon Tarot as a representation of where you are. Then we're going to get into the Icarus Tarot as a bridge to where you're going, right? That alchemical process that's happening between where you are and where you're going. And then I'm using the 𝐦𝐤𝐺NicoleMyths archetype cards to help you understand where you're going. And I'm only going to be using light attributes, okay? I will let you know the shadow attribute so that you can be aware of it. But we're going to be getting into more of the light attributes on these cards, okay? Because they have light and shadow. So I have faith that these readings will serve you well, however they are meant to serve you. If you would like more insight, and I mean over 3.5 hours worth of insight on what this solar eclipse breakdown is, right? All of the energies, what all the different aspects going on mean, then I would highly, 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 highly recommend taking the $1.99 and at least becoming a Pineapple patron so that you can view the special that I did for members today about this solar eclipse. All right, because I got into all of the aspects and did a sign by sign breakdown per rising signs. So like what it means when that eclipse is falling in your 4th house, you know, like, so you know what the fuck is going on with your shit. And I would check it out. I would check it out. I would sign up and I would check it out. I will leave the link to the actual video with the timestamps. You just won't be able to view that unless you are a member. All right, so I highly recommend signing up. I would love to have you. Plus, you'll get access to all the other bonus content that my members get for supporting my channel, because that's my way of supporting them. All right, that is our reciprocal energetic exchange. I love y'all so very much. I love y'all very much. All right, without further ado, let's get into these secret code names. Microphone, Barracuda, Deliac, and Mandalorian. Okay, those are the 4 secret code names. We are going to start with microphone. Timestamp. Alrighty. Secret code name, microphone. Where are you right now? If you are drawn to the secret code name, if the microphone jumped out at you, you feel like you got to watch it and you don't know why, or it is literally your secret code name. Where are you right now? Let's identify where you are. Okay. Emperor sideways, you're not necessarily clear on your power or just how strong you are with the strength card, and you're starting to recognize it. Okay. You're not clear on what it is you're capable of doing and choosing, but I think you're really starting to understand, or at least become aware of the fact that you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. You might actually feel like that outright. Like, you know, you're more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Doesn't stop you from not giving yourself enough credit, though. 4 of Swords. You may feel like it's, especially because that's under that sideways Emperor card. We got the Fool and we got the 9 of Swords. You may feel more comfortable letting other people make big decisions, even though you know you're capable of making the decision and are probably the better person to make the decision. You tend to sit back and let others push you in a direction instead of you choosing the direction. Okay. We got King of Stars on the bottom. So Master Manifester you are, and then the Star card on top. So you're definitely healing your ability to manifest, okay, the reality that you want. And this is the Icarus Tower for the bridge. So let's see. That was way too many. What's the bridge? The Devil in reverse. Okay. So if the Devil in reverse is the bridge, We talked about you releasing control to other people. What you need to do is, because that's your way of controlling things, okay? And it might seem oxymoronic, but it's not. Your way of controlling situations is by letting people push you and then dealing with it. You feel more comfortable dealing with disaster than creating chaos. And so letting go of the attachment to certain people who choose for you with their own wants, needs, or defiance, right? It's letting go of the attachments or the obligations to feel like you need to do what other people want you to do. You know, taking the chains off your neck, right? Letting go of the devil energy, that you are not beholden to the shadows of other people, because other people's shadows will push you all the time. All right? Other people's shadows will push you all the time. Where are you going? Yeah, you'd rather deal with disaster and clean up messes than risk creating a mess yourself. You would rather let other people choose based on their fear state, what they feel most comfortable with, right? People wanting to stay in their comfort zones, that you're constantly pushed out of your own and you become comfortable in disaster, right? Becoming comfortable in disaster. That is what you're used to. That's where you are. So what is this bridge, this release of the devil energy? Or letting go, because the devil sometimes represents, right, it's Capricorn energy, and Capricorn ruling the 10th house is provider energy, right? It's associated with the father, but it's high noon, like masculine manifestation. And so it's provider energy. It's your career, it's your reputation, it's your ability to make things happen and dictate the direction of things, right? It's where and how you invest. And I think what you're going to need to look at is what you're providing for, or who you're providing for. And is it really truly worth the investment because of any kind of stress, right? This 9 of Swords energy that you take on. So, right, why would you invest in dealing with disasters when you can invest in a little bit of chaos, but not have to deal with any kind of cleanup? I think you trust yourself more than you trust other people. You know you can make better choices and better decisions on everybody else's behalf, but you're sitting on your power. That 4 of Swords. So these are the cards that I'm looking at here. Right, for where you are. You're sitting on your power. These 2 cards were on top and the other 3 were clarifying. You're not necessarily comfortable with making choices. You might do it, but you're not comfortable with it. And that's a problem. That's a problem. You're healing, right? The Star card, you're healing your King of Stars energy. The King of Stars is the King of Coin, or the King of Pentacles in this deck. You're healing your ability to manifest. Okay, light attributes, where you're going. I got 2 cards. I got Storyteller and Samaritan. Okay. So the light attributes, the ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols, and refining your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. Say, your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. Let me help you understand that, especially in reference to your cards. Those people who are in their shadow and choosing from fear state to stay in their comfort zone, if you're allowing them to push you, you're ignoring the help that they need. You're ignoring it. They need help. They're in their shadow. They're choosing to stay in their shadow in their comfort zone, and you're letting them and their energy push you around, which is not helping them. You're ignoring it. And if they don't understand what you're saying when you're choosing something for them, you might want to give them a story to help them see what they're not seeing. Like, for example, and you know what? I was just watching Taylor Tomlinson. I went to see her live show in Cincinnati. She's fucking amazing, by the way. She's hilarious. I went to see her Have It All tour. And she was talking about what an atrocity it is trying to date men in 2023. And she said they're so difficult to talk to because if you tell a man to empathize, it's like no compute, right? Well, imagine that you and I are blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but we're not. He's like, well, she's like, well, if you were me, he's like, yeah, but I'm not you. And she's just like, well, if you can imagine for a minute. And he's just like, yeah, but that's not the case. And she's just like, God damn it. Imagine you were a basketball player. And he's like, okay, I could do that. And it's like, okay, now imagine your team who you work really hard for, right? You work really hard for your team and they forgot your birthday. How would you feel? And he goes, that would suck. And she's like, so now can you understand how I feel? And he's, you know, and it's like no compute, but it's like, the joke is speak to them in a way that they would understand. Like they might not be able to put themselves in your shoes and say, wow, that would really suck. You know, if I were in your shoes and you were dealing with people like me, like that would suck. But they don't see it when you just say, hey, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or this is what I want to do, or this is what, you know, you doing this or choosing that is not allowing me to do. You know, they don't compute. They don't understand. They're just like, but you're this and you're that and you're supposed to, whatever. Tell them a story in a way that they can empathize with or understand. You can get them to see your point of view. You know what I mean? So we're coming into this energy of storyteller and Samaritan, because these people, whoever you're dealing with, really do need help getting out of their shadowy comfort, right? Where they're comfortable and not healing. But you're going to have to do it in a way that they can understand. And the best medicine for that, the best antidote might just be telling them a story, right? Reminding them of a story that they told you once, and they're just like, oh, that is really similar. Oh, that did really suck. Yeah, it did. Like, can we not repeat that? Like, can I not be that person that has to deal with that? Like, if you didn't like it, what makes you think I like it? Like, you know what I mean? Can we reason? Now, the shadow that you just simply have to be aware of is the temptation to make up tales that would harm others, or exacting appreciation and recognition for the help you offer. So you can't fabricate or make pretend or completely, you know, indulge in a story that is not true, that is harmful for the psyche of another person, right? Or the emotional state of another person, or put them in a high anxiety, like mental state that's not good, right? You can't do that. You have to stick to being honest and real, and know that once you help them see and things start moving, that you don't expect appreciation or a thank you or any kind of gratitude in return later. You might not get it, right? The ultimate gratitude would be your own gratitude for yourself, for being in your power, allowing yourself to take the chains of those people off, right? The shadows off, and allowing yourself the freedom, right? The gratitude comes from within, not necessarily from the outer. Okay. So that is the alchemical harmony happening with secret code name microphone. Okay. If you resonated to microphone, I have faith that that will help you make progress, especially in your relationship dynamics and the house that this axis, right, this nodal axis of Libra and Aries is going to be working for you over the next year, year and a half as we're in these cycles, right? Okay. Moving forward. Secret code name Barracuda. And yes, I absolutely heard the song by heart. So if you are not familiar with the song Barracuda by heart, once you're done listening to this message, you might most definitely want to go and look up the lyrics to that song. Give it a listen. It is good old-fashioned 80s women's rock. I mean, they had their own sound. I don't think you could describe Heart in comparison really to any other group. She was definitely 80s though. Heart was definitely 80s. It was actually more of a duo. But I digress. Barracuda. Okay. I probably should have timestamped that back at like 20 minutes. I'll have to get the timestamp, me explaining the secret code name. All right. So secret code name Barracuda, and those who are drawn to it. Where's your energy now? Where's your energy now? We got the 10 of Stars. That's the 10 of Pentacles. The Ace of Wands. Sideways. And the 3 of Swords. Clarify a little bit further for me, please. 10 of Swords. Page of Wands. And the 8 of Stars. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the 6 of Wands. Top of the deck is the Knight of Stars. Where you're at now, I think you're having a hard time finding your spark or initiating something new with people, especially if it involves living with them or getting close to them, being intimate as a person, because you've had 10 of Pentacles energy, right? You've had dream situations manifest, or seemingly so, only for it to end up in sabotage, right? Only to end up having it go from a 10 of Pentacles to a 10 of Swords. And because of the pain that you're still feeling surrounding loss of dreams, you might find yourself unwilling to put in the work right now, unwilling to make an effort. You want success. You're success-minded with the 6 of Wands on bottom. You visualize success, but with the Knight of Stars on top, it's a very, very slow process. So there's healing that needs to be done, right? reflecting on why the 10 of stars, right, that 10 of pentacles ended up becoming a 10 of swords, right? So the 10 of stars clarifying the 10 of swords. It's really easy to blame other people. It's more difficult to see how things you've chosen or things that you believed or perceived at a time caused a chain of events, you know. And I'll be open about it because I've been open about it on the channel. You know, my last long-term relationship, I really, really had an issue with the alcoholism. Bad, had a really bad issue with it. He was an everyday, half a big bottle of Jameson drinker. And he had his reasons, you know what I mean? As every alcoholic does, they have their reasons why they should keep drinking. And I expressed the fact that I didn't like it. And we had conversations about it. And of course, it always resulted in him arguing why he still needed to drink. And I loved him and would deal. But I never actually expressed the fact that it was a huge turnoff. Right? Witnessing him drunk or being with him drunk, it was a really bad turnoff because I'm not a drinker. I wouldn't, like, he could go through a half a bottle of Jamie and I wouldn't even have a drink. Like, I'm not a drinker. So, you know, there was nothing attractive about it. Watching him be drunk or listening to him drunk or dealing with him drunk. There was nothing attractive about it. Nothing about it made me want to curl up with him and, you know, be physically intimate with him, you know. So our intimacy, it took a real bad hit, you know, which led to a lot of different things, a lot of different issues popping up in the relationship. Because if you're in an intimate relationship, living with someone, you're a, you know, romantic partner, and there's no physical intimacy like that, or it's very one-sided, right? Because I was giving him like a lot of massages and things like that to keep that physical touch, but and to help him fucking sleep, because if I massaged him, he'd go the fuck to sleep and I wouldn't have to deal with his drunk ass no more. And he appreciated it. So, you know, it was a win-win in a worst case scenario. But there was no actual like physical intimacy between the two of us in that regard. And it led to other things going wrong. So it doesn't excuse the fact that other things went wrong. Like, he wasn't getting sex from me, so he was getting it elsewhere. It doesn't excuse that behavior, right? But the fact that there was a lapse in communication, the fact that there was communications not had, or that communications were strained and difficult, because damn it, he was really fucking difficult to talk to. He really was. He was difficult to talk to sometimes. Once he had his mind hell bent on something, he really thought he could just manipulate the shit out of somebody or talk long enough that you would get tired and give in, which was typically the case. But he leaned on the sociopathy side of things. So, you know, if I go back into that relationship, can I really blame him for everything that went wrong? No, because there's certain things that I could have done better in the process. I could have said, okay, well, this is a major turnoff for me. As much as I love you, I got to go, though. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone I'm not physically attracted to, right? I don't want to be in a relationship with an alcoholic. Could have drew that line way earlier in the dynamic and spared a lot more pain that transpired later on from dragging it out. You know, so when you're looking back at 10 of Pentacles energy that turned into 10 of Swords, where did something you could have done differently stop the ball from rolling down the hill? You know what I mean? Stop that snowball from growing out of control and causing a major crash later. You know, what red flag was ignored that would have spared you? Because if you're afraid of putting in effort towards a new relationship, if that is painful for you to think about, well, I'm afraid of putting in all this effort for nothing, then you really have to become okay with the fact that you can recognize your own flaws moving forward. Because if you can't see your own flaws moving forward, you're going to ignore flaws in your partner. Right? The mirror of things. So where you are now really does need to heal by owning certain things in the past, taking blame, all of the blame off of other people, and really taking accountability for it being what is essentially 50-50. It's what it comes down to. It's 50-50. It's not all one person's fault, or even more one person's fault than the other. It does come down to it being 50-50. And until you can be okay with that and catch yourself moving forward, if you can take responsibility for your half of the partnership, because it takes two to relate. It wasn't all good with one person and all bad with another person. It wasn't 80% good with one person and 20% good with the other. And vice versa, 80% bad with one and 20% bad with the other. It's always 50-50, whether we choose to acknowledge that or not. We are responsible for our half. You will feel more comfortable moving forward if you can look back and own what you could have done better to either have it result better or end it before it turned 10 of Swords, right? That you could have cut it off sooner so that it wasn't as 10 of Swords painful, right? That you wouldn't still be feeling pain even after it's over, right? So what's the bridge to get you out of this energy? What's the bridge? The alchemical process. Yeah, Icarus and the Wheel of Fortune. Icarus's big lesson was learning from what is essentially your elder, right? Because his father told him, don't fly too close to the sun. It'll melt the wax. Your wings will fall apart and you'll drown in the sea. And don't fly too low, too close to the sea, because the humidity and the mist coming off of the waves will weigh heavy on your wings and drag you down, and you will fall into the sea. You have to find that golden ground, right, between that golden area between flying too high and too low, right? That was Icarus's lesson. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's fate, right? The Wheel of Fortune in traditional Rider-Waite has many different outcomes on it, right? We're at our highest, we're at our descent, and we're at our fall and our rise, right? There's all these different aspects to the Wheel of Fortune. And this one has similar runes. There's some runes on this card. So the runes for you that I pulled at the very beginning, you might definitely want to look into them, right? Because it doesn't just say tarot, it's got runes on there. It's got the symbol Deliac. I know Deliac, the symbol for door. That's a Hebrew symbol. 𝗏𝗏 is on here. Even 𝐸𝐸𝑎𝑧 is on here. Technically. So is 𝐸𝐸𝑎𝑧𝐸. I know 𝐸𝐸𝑎𝑧𝐸. I recognize that one. Yeah, so you might want to actually look into these runes, because you're in control of your fate. Your fortune, that's up to you. You can't get so caught up in your ego, right, which is flying too high. You can't get so caught up in your ego and your pride that you melt, that you drown and struggle. You know, you can't let yourself get so far ahead of yourself, like you're not to blame. Like Icarus has no one else to blame but himself for flying too fucking high, for getting cocky and flying high and thinking he could disregard his better knowledge. His father wasn't telling him for no fucking reason. It's higher, wiser, masculine energy. Right? You know what to do. You know, if you get too caught up in your emotions that you start negating reality, or you let other people lead you with low energy, and you're trusting in someone else when their energy is low and expecting a high manifestation, well, whose fault is that? You're flying low and expecting to get to where you wanted to go, your ultimate goal. How do you think you can reach a high manifestation visualization if you're letting someone lead with low energy? It don't work. You've got to heal that stuff. You got to heal that stuff. You got to find that middle ground with people. You know, like I said, it's 50-50. It's literally in the middle. Remember that it's always in the middle. 50-50. It is no one's fault more than anybody else's. Because if shit is toxic or it's not healthy and we let it go on for too long, well, then we are just as responsible for the toxic result as they are. We ignored red flags just like they did. We could have, should have done things better just like they could have, should have done things better. No one's actually to blame. People get so caught up sometimes. Yeah, you're turning into the alchemist. This is transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. This is who you're becoming. You're becoming the fucking alchemist. You're learning how to look back at the past, right? Looking at base motives. The foundation of things. And turning it into golden wisdom. This is where the base energy was, and this is what the goals were. This is what actually transpired, and now I've learned from that. Won't do that again. Trust me, ever since I realized just how unattractive alcoholism is and how unattractive doing drugs is to me, I will not be with a partner unless they're straight edge. I'm straight edge. I will not be with a partner unless they're also straight edge. I'm sorry. 99% is not 100. Either you are or you aren't. I will let people know right off the bat. Like, we could be friends, we could be confidants, we could be colleagues, but if that's where you're at, I'm not interested. And if I only started talking to you because I was interested in a relationship with you, and then I found out that you're not straight edge, well, I have no reason to talk to you. I am too busy and too grown, and I'm looking elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, not sorry. I don't cross my fingers, well, maybe, and hopeful, whatever. 9/23 was my ex's birthday. Thank you for that divine confirmation, Spirit. Literally just popped up on my phone. I learned that lesson from him. Super grateful. Super grateful. Won't repeat that. Learned it, won't repeat that. The shadow of the alchemist is misuse of the power and knowledge that come through spiritual practice. So if you're privy to the mirror, right? And you know someone's not taking responsibility for themselves, and you're taking ownership of who you are and you understand your power, you could absolutely abuse and manipulate people. Being an alchemist is understanding the magic of the soul and how it improves from lead to gold. You cannot abuse the fact that you have found your value or that other people haven't, because you will see it clear. You will see it really clear. Like understanding where someone is in the mirror of things. And I had this conversation with my divine rebels earlier. Well, all of my members, I guess. Unless it was just the weekly duality report. I don't remember. They'll let me know. I had that conversation with them. Like, I understand the mirror that I was having a conversation with someone else. And I was super grateful for the mirror. And the fact of the matter is, I could play that game. I could play that game. I could be in that mirror and I could stay sovereign. And I could totally pull on the mental and emotional and psychological strings of someone else who doesn't know how to stay sovereign. I have to be disciplined enough to choose not to do that. Just because I can doesn't make it right. Just because I'm privy to seeing things and privy to energy and understanding people does not make it right to use or manipulate or mislead or drag on anybody anywhere. They could be pissed at me because I'm in and out. I'm like, peace out, deuces. Sorry, I'm not interested. Bye. It was nice to know you. Live your best life. You know, bye. They could be upset that I was just in and out in a flash and like, what the fuck? You know, like, what's her deal? She just showed up and then just left. Well, would you rather me fuck around for a year? Would you rather me get your emotions real tied up? Would you rather spend money on me, invest in things, and then all of a sudden I'm gone a year later? I'm being more merciful and compassionate, leaving sooner than later, right? So you have to understand from your past relationships what didn't work and draw a hard line. A hard line. I was telling him, like, I have the capability of dealing with a multitude of personalities. I can handle all kinds of quirks and nuances and weird OCD whatevers. I love introverts, extroverts. I can be okay with either or. It doesn't matter. I'm good. But when it comes to this, I don't bend on that. It's the one thing I won't bend on. I learned. I don't handle it well, right? Don't handle it well. You got to figure out what it is in your past that went awry and definitively decide that you're drawing a hard line, because that hard line is a healthy boundary. That is a healthy boundary where you feel confident in the projection of where the energy is going, because it's not being affected by lower energies that would otherwise be coming along if you cross that line. Because if I cross this line with somebody, I have all kinds of question marks running through my head. When are they going to take it too far? When are they going to overdo it? When are they going to push me and upset me, you know, or say something that they don't mean and then blame it on the fact that, you know, they were drunk or they were stoned or they were whatever. They're going to blame it on something else that, you know, well, if I wasn't this, I wouldn't have said that, but I was. So you have to forgive me. No, I don't even want to date you. You're going to say some shit or do some shit when you're drunk or high that's ignorant or rude or disrespectful or inconsiderate and expect me to deal with it because you were drunk or high or whatever. Well, no. I'm not going to deal with that excuse. That's not good enough. That's not acceptable. Healthy boundary, right? You're going to have to come up with your healthy boundaries. Because otherwise you're going to have a really hard time moving forward. Draw that line, right? Right in the middle. That path you're willing to take. And if it's off that path, don't take it. I'm taking that path. I will promote that path. I will encourage that path for everybody. I think relationships are healthier in general when you don't mix substances in them. That's how I feel. No knock to anybody who's not straight edge. You're on your journey. You're figuring shit out. But I know, right? I know there is not a single astrological alignment where the light attribute of the sign or the light attribute of the planet, there is not a single aspect in astrology that will tell you that using substances like alcohol or other drugs is beneficial. It's a light attribute. Its shadow attributes. The shadow attributes of scorpionic energy is addiction. The shadow attributes of Pisces is escape. Same thing with Neptune, especially when it's squaring shit like fucking Mars and its impulse and instant gratification rush. Right? The whole Pluto and Scorpio generation deals with some kind of addiction problem. Tell me I'm fucking lying. The only ones that don't have some seriously strong aspects to Scorpio in South Node, aspects from South Node challenging that energy. Addictions, substances, they're connected to shadows. Dark, low vibratory energy. I'm not welcoming that shit in my life. Heal yourself. Figure out, when did you start using whatever it is? From alcohol to cigarettes to weed to pills, over the counter or otherwise. When did you start using them? What state of mind were you in? And start finding forgiveness for the people that pushed you to that state. Start finding forgiveness and healing yourself. Because as soon as you do, you ain't got no interest in that stuff. I promise you, you don't. I promise you, you don't. I have zero interest whatsoever. Zero. Okay. Now that I've ranted on secret code name Barracuda for 27 minutes. You can't tell a Sag to shut up. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Moving forward. Secret code name Deliac. It was so weird because never in my life have I ever heard the word Deliac. I heard it clear as day in my head, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean, spirit? Well, there's no English translation for the word. Merriam-Webster's dictionary will take you to a link that wants you to buy a membership for them to tell you there is no definition for that word. So I looked up translate Deliac, and Google picked up Slavic origins, and it means dividing. So Deliac, if you have Slavic roots or history or Slavic ancestry, Norse, right? Interest in Norse mythology and things like that. Interesting too, because we got runes out here, right? Definitely Slavic, and it meant dividing. So alchemical harmony sometimes means getting rid of components that are not conducive to the goal that you're trying to obtain. Right, like in order to turn lead into gold, there are some parts of the process, some parts of the molecules that have to be removed. They have to be removed. So there's a certain amount of dividing going on, separating things that are not beneficial to what you're trying to achieve, right? So let's see. Where are you? Where is your energy right now? This solar eclipse. Secret code name Deliac and those who would be drawn to it. What is going on right now? We got the Tower and the Page of Stars. And the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, which, to be fair, I'm actually kind of liking this specific card in that position. You'll see why in a minute. 3 of Moons. Judgment in reverse. And the 2 of Swords reversed. Page of Wands on the bottom, 10 of Wands on top. All right, so where you're at right now, I feel like you're trying, it's like, and maybe you've seen the short or the reel, whatever it is, of a woman who rescued a butterfly with a broken wing and glued some piece of paper, given it wasn't like regular heavy paper, but cut out a piece of paper and glued it to the butterfly's wing and was like, all better, and nursed it back to health and blah, blah, blah. And the comments were like, that's great and all that you gave it a new wing and you tried to pick a lightweight whatever, but the glue is fucking heavy. Good try. So it's kind of like, I feel like you're wanting to take off and someone's trying to be the glue to help you take off, but they're too heavy. It's like, I can't take off with you. Matter of fact, if I'm going to be crawling either way, I'm better off crawling without you on my back. I'm better off without you trying to quote unquote tag along. So we've got that 10 of Swords with the Page of Wands energy. I think you want to reinvent yourself. I think you want to fly. I think you want to light and ignite, and you're having a difficult time, right? There's too much spiritual or energetic burden from other people being put on your back to carry. So we have the Tower with the 3 of Cups, right? This is epiphany or revelation concerning a third-party energy. Now, the third-party energy doesn't have to be a person, and I talk about that. Whether you're watching my reading or any other reader on YouTube, be aware of that. The 3 of Cups. When we talk about third parties, third party, yes, can be a literal person that's causing distraction or some kind of unsettled whatever in your reality. Okay, it could definitely be a person. It could also be an addiction. It gets in the way of union. It gets in the way of harmony. It could also be a job or a work schedule. It's some outside energy, right? Third party is an outside energy interfering with the energy at stake or at play between you and another. I gave the example the other day that it could be a pet. You could have a pet that's really, really great with one person in the house, but they're fucking nasty to everybody else, and that pet's causing a problem. It's making other people upset. And you might be the only one that really, really loves the animal, and you feel really, really bad letting it go, but it's literally biting the shit out of your kids, or it's ripping through things when you're not around and nobody else can get close to it. Like the pet's a problem, so the third party energy is anything outside of the dynamic ship at hand that is causing a problem. It may have caused joy for a time, right? Because the 3 of Cups can denote joy. It may result in some kind of instant gratification, right? As third-party people sometimes do. It's instant gratification that's causing a fucking problem. Whether that's an addiction or a person, right? Well, I really, really want to get fucking hammered right now, man. And they just get fucking drunk. And it's just like, God damn it. It's causing a problem. Like your instant gratification of wanting to not feel things and numb yourself is causing a problem. So Deliac, right, dividing, you might need to separate from some kind of third-party energy. The Page of Stars is seizing the opportunity to not resurrect something. It's Judgment in reverse. And the Page of Stars. The Page of Stars, the Page of Pentacles, Page of Coins is seize the day, carpe diem, planting seeds for the future type energy. This is saying do not plant old seeds. Why would you take the time to plant an old seed that's not going to grow? Or you tried to plant that seed before and it didn't result well because the environment is not great for that seed. It's like having a synastry, you and someone else's birth chart. Like, it's not like their birth chart's bad. It just doesn't really work well with yours. The environment, the energetic environment is not conducive for growth. Maybe y'all got one too many fucking squares in your chart. It's too much of a distraction. It gets too volatile. It takes away too much peace. Their chart might be great with someone else's energy, and they might flourish in that environment, and vice versa. You might be much better off finding someone else and putting yourself in a better energetic environment. Don't resurrect it. Be different person, same problems. This is where you're at now. Wheel of Fortune in reverse with the Two of Swords. Look at this Wheel of Fortune. Instead of it being upright, which would have the Ouroboros there, which, to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of Ouroboros energy. I don't like the idea of going around in circles and eating my own tail. Instead, we've got these beautiful angel wings. And I feel like, you know, letting go of fate or letting go of the Ouroboros cycle is taking you out of this Two of Swords, rock in a hard place energy. You know, if you're dealing with people whose energy is distracting or heavy for you, you're constantly going to find yourself in between a rock and a hard place. You just will. Trying to work things out with energy that's not helping. It's like if you're living in a desert, right? I'm going to use an example. If you're living in a desert, better off investing in things like cacti, right? Succulents or glossy leaved plants that hold their own moisture, right? They hold in moisture. That would be the best type of plants to grow in your desert-like energy. Why in the fucking world would you try growing hostas that love shade and damp, moist condition? Why would you try so hard to turn the desert into the perfect place for hostas because you want hostas? Well, if you want hostas that bad, leave the fucking desert. Go live somewhere where they grow and flourish easily. Or fall in love with cacti. You know? Why go around in this cycle of trying to make something fit? If the puzzle piece don't fit, if the puzzle piece don't fit, don't get a hammer and try and smash it in there. You're only going to fuck up the whole puzzle. Just find the piece that fits. Stop trying to force things to fit. That's why you end up 10 of Wands kind of heavy. Sometimes you just got to admit the energy is just doesn't work well. And you're probably better off keeping distance as much as possible. Not dealing with each other's energy as much as possible, and find just common ground that y'all can work with if you have to continue dealing with someone. You know, Like, for example, if you share kids with them, you might not be getting along with that person. You might have horrible energy together. Now that you actually have a kid together and you're dealing with human reality and you're not in some romanticized or fantasized relationship dynamic, right? You've escaped codependency. Yeah, you know, you might realize you're not a huge fan of that person, but you still have to co-parent. Their energy might be fine around their family. They might be fine with the kids without you being in a part of it. And when kids with you, your energy is great, your family is great, and you just respectfully decide to keep your lives separate, to not interfere unless it seriously is detrimental to your kid, right? Yeah, you've got to transform or let something go. The bridge is death. This is about going down into your subconscious too. The octopus is inky. It's inky, and you can see the third eye on it, right? It's about going down in your deep places and figuring out what it is that makes you want to disappear. Because what does an octopus do when it's afraid? It inks and disappears, right? So if you want to morph, if you want to let these third parties go, if you want to get out of Ouroboros cycles where you're just eating your tail and going around in circles, get out of rock and hard place fucking situations, and you don't want to resurrect old bullshit or fail to grow things that you want to grow, then you really have to understand what triggers you have, that when your triggers are set off and the fear is set off, you ink and dip. You become mysterious, or you start keeping secrets, right? Because the death card is scorpionic energy. It'll start keeping secrets. It won't communicate certain things. It won't tell certain things. It'll keep certain things to the self because it's trying to make a getaway in some which way, shape, or form. Whether it's getting away literally, getting away mentally, getting away emotionally, it's tuning out, right? To get out of something financially, you start keeping secrets. You're not invested anymore. You're not invested anymore. What is it that triggers you to stop investing, right? Because the opposite end of Scorpio is Taurus. So that's a 3D Earth, very heavy financial sign. What makes you want to stop investing? When do you start keeping things to yourself? That's really what you need to figure out. And that will help you get to where you're going. So where are you going? The mentor. You're becoming the mentor. Okay. To me, this is also by a lead by example, right? That you're able to go back and, you know, using the example of kids, be able to tell your children one day as a mentor for them what worked and what the situation or the story was and how you came to solve it, right? That you find yourself in this state of peace or this state of wisdom, and be able to share that in a way that they would be able to listen and use that instead of ignore you. Right? Because the biggest thing, and I'll tell you, like when I was a kid, I had a really hard time taking my mother's advice because I had no fucking respect for her. And same thing with my dad. It didn't matter how good the advice was. I had no respect for them. None. The way they carried themselves as a couple, why would I take relationship advice from a couple who's married and fucking hates each other and threatens to throw the other out of a window and can't wait for the other to die? No, I'm not taking relationship advice from you. You're crazy. out your fucking mind. Don't tell me who I can and can't date. So if you want someone to respect your opinion and the advice you're giving them because you love them, then lead by a respectable example, right? The light attribute is passing on wisdom and refining a student's character, helping someone be better because you've helped yourself be better. How can I expect to teach my son how to correct his mistakes if I haven't learned how to correct my own? You know? The shadow attribute that you have to be aware of, right, is the inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master or imparting false instruction, right? That you would give advice you haven't taken. That would be an example of imparting false instruction, because why would you give advice you haven't taken or wouldn't take? Well, if he's being mean to you or she's not speaking nice to you and they're very controlling and narcissistic and, you know, they're slowly taking you away from all of your support systems and they're not kind, they're using you, you should leave them. Well, how could you give that advice if you yourself are not actually doing that? If you're not separating yourself from narcissistic people or mean, nasty people or people that are using you. It doesn't necessarily need to be your relationship with someone like your partner. It could be a friendship. Why would someone take advice from someone that person isn't even taking themselves? How could I tell my son that honesty is the best policy if I myself decide that there are some occasions where honesty is not the best policy? No, I'm honest to a goddamn fault till the day I die. I don't care what results. I'd rather be honest and let the chaos ensue than lie and deal with the detriment of the fear state that would backlash in my manifestation. I'd rather trust in truth. And every fucking time I do, my son gets to see how that works out to my benefit. And it does, without fail, every fucking time. Being the mentor. Knowing that you can teach what you're meant to teach and allow them to move forward, to master their own life and learn other lessons that they can maybe even come back and teach you. Right? Because a true mentor, a true master knows that they're still always a student. The learning doesn't stop. They just create other people who are capable of mastery and to your inner compass speaks through you as a part of you, you know, that you're not separate from it, and teach others to do the same. It's the best way you could ripple, in my personal opinion. Right? Healing yourself and teaching other people how to heal themselves so that can continue. Right? That was secret code name Deliac. Lastly but not least, we're getting into secret code name Mandalorian. Now, before y'all chew my fucking head off, I've never seen the movies, the Star Wars series, trilogies, whatever the fuck they are. I've never seen it. Okay. I have watched the original Star Wars movie about 3 times now, and I get completely fucking lost. I can't recall a goddamn thing. And it's like I've never seen it. So I don't know what it is. My brain does not register Star Wars. But I clearly heard Mandalorian. So how that is a synchronicity for you or makes sense to you. Maybe you're familiar with the movie. Maybe you'll watch it and find something in there to take away from it. I don't know, but I heard Mandalorian, so I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Yoda, though. I do love Yoda. I do love Yoda and Baby Yoda and all their fucking memes. So the Mandalorian. Let's see. Let's timestamp that. I gotta go back and get an exact timestamp because I start ranting. I start ranting about shit before I even fucking timestamp stuff. So let's see. Secret code name Mandalorian. Where are you right now? Where are you right now? Interesting. Card flipped out, but then flipped right back in. You don't have closure. You're having a hard time healing because you don't got closure. And not healing leaves you internally conflicted about things. And it comes out as arguments with other people, and you end up kind of hanging yourself. You know what you desire. You know what you want to manifest. Well, we got the Queen of Stars on the bottom. You visualize yourself strong. You visualize yourself reliable. You visualize yourself stable. And you're seeking justice. The problem is you're not getting that justice from the people who you feel were unjust to you. Okay. We got the Star card in reverse with the Five of Wands, the Ace of Swords sideways with the Emperor, and the World card in reverse with the Hanged Man. You don't know why people are the way they are, or why they do what they do, and why they say what they say. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually pull. This is my energy alignment deck. It's just a small little deck of my own creation. But I want to see the energy you dealt with. That was not just that you're seeking justice. Yeah, they got excuses. And they're reckless. Wow, really? I got all light attributes on one side of these cards, right? All these different pretty chakra colors on one side. On the other side is all the shadows. I literally got 5 shadows here. No wonder why you feel like shit was unjust. You got someone who makes excuses, right? Who comes off like they're growth oriented, like they're willing to grow, they're willing to change, but then have all of these excuses not to. They're spiritually irresponsible, which means they place a lot of blame on other people. They're the victim, right? They blame all these other people for why they're fucked up, or why their life's fucked up, or why their life's not better, or why they are not better. They are a terrible judge of character. Okay. Which means they've gone after the wrong people or trusted the wrong people and got fucked over. So when the right person's in front of them, they can't fucking tell Dick from Harry. They negative self-talk, right? They talk down about themselves. And they're fucking reckless. They're reckless. They're not thoughtful. They're not considerate. They're just reckless. They don't care. This is who you were dealing with. Now I'm going to ask you, that kind of person, do you really think you're going to get closure from them? You really think you're going to get justice from that person? Especially if they're blaming you for not understanding them better. for not holding more compassion for them. They'll tell you and anybody else what they think they want to hear. Especially to get by. You're looking at someone who is a survivalist. They're a survivalist. They see the devil right in front of them and think it's an angel. And they see an angel right in front of them and think that angel has hidden devil motives. That angel's the devil. They're a terrible judge of character. They won't trust you, but they'll trust some fucking idiot who is literally charming them out of something. And then blame you because you were the devil the whole time, and now you proved it because you're not dealing with their bullshit. You're dealing with someone who is in their shadow. You're not going to get closure from this person. What you really need to work on is healing your own inner conflict about how you did not see this person for who they were. That you got caught up in seeing their potential and not their face value. That you might have seen and witnessed how they treated lesser people, right? Worse people than you. They were treating worse people than you better than they were treating you, and hoping that maybe if you're a better person, they would treat you better. But they just treated you worse. You don't understand how you got caught up on someone like that. You want the acknowledgement that you were a better person than the other people. You want the acknowledgement that you are not the same as them. That you were better because you were. Because you were better. Because you weren't like the rest. Okay, you martyred yourself. You martyred yourself for this person. You saw the potential in them and sacrificed and martyred yourself to try and get their potential up and out. Tried to save them from the damage that other people inflicted and continue to inflict, and you couldn't fucking do it because it's not your job. It was never your job to heal whoever they were. Especially if it's more than one person and this is a repeating pattern of yours, or you see the great potential in someone and want them to treat you the way they treat lesser people, lesser energy, and they don't, because their mind is broken. They're broken. The only person who can decide to fix them is them. You can give them all the glue, you can give them all the stitches, you can give them all the steel. It doesn't matter. If they don't decide to use it and they want to stay in a pile of pieces, asking people, just pick me up and take me with you. And the shards cut people. Like, sorry, you don't want to fix yourself. That's not my fucking problem. I'm not going to get hurt trying to pick you up. Fucking fix yourself. You know? You're having a hard time letting go because you don't have closure. To where you're trusting or learning how to heal your own trust as a judge of character. Right? How did I not see it? How did I fall for someone like that? Am I a terrible judge of character? Well, why are you a terrible judge of character? Because you're rooting for potential. Like, there's nothing wrong with people having potential. There's nothing wrong with seeing the beauty in their potential. But why the fuck would you chase and invest in something that ain't fucking real? Potential's potential. It's not the reality of them, though. It's like investing in someone's dreams and they're not doing anything to make it possible. It's dreaming of a pizza and watching the dough just sit on the counter. Oh, I can't wait for that dough to be a pizza one day. but the dough's just sitting there and nothing's getting done to turn it into a pizza. That dough could have all the potential in the fucking world, but it's still just fucking dough. It's not a pizza. Not yet. What's the bridge to get you out of this energy? What's the alchemical process? First of all, everybody has been through a dynamic like this. Unless you're living under a fucking rock or you're on another fucking planet, everybody saw the potential in someone else at some point and got disappointed. Every single person. You are not alone in that. And I guarantee you that every single person watching tonight and in the future, they don't have closure with someone. They don't have closure with someone. Hell, I don't have closure with my father. I don't have closure with half my siblings. I don't have, didn't get closure from my toxic ex. I fucking got that shit myself. I created my own closure. I forgave myself. I don't actually need it from them anymore. I did that work. It took me a couple years. And some digging, some major rewiring of thought trails, right? You're not a bad person for seeing the good in someone that they forgot existed. You just have to get better at recognizing when you're seeing potential as opposed to action and actuality. Someone's actuality is different than their potential. Action is actuality. Potential is possible, but it's not actual. Right? Your bridge is the Sun card. So that's remembering your own strength. That's remembering your own shine. That is picking up your inner child and giving it a hug and saying, it's okay. You did a great job. The inner child that wants approval. Right? Because what do we want as kids? We just want our parents to be happy with us. We just want to do a good job. We just want to have fun and be good and have people be proud of us. Right? What do we want as kids? So if your inner child is disappointed or upset because it feels like it failed at something, it didn't bring the potential out of someone, and it's sad now, can you visualize your 6 or 7-year-old self who's sad and has little tears running down the side of your face? Can you, as your adult version, in your mind's eye, hug your 6-year-old sad self and say, it's okay, you did a really great job. You put your best effort forward. And you did a really great job. I'm proud of you. You tried to love an impossible to love person, and you did a really good job. Come on, let's go find a lovable person now. Let's go find someone ready for our kind of love. Come on. And you pick them up and let that little version of you know it's out there. And what did we learn? Right? Talking to your 6-year-old self. What did we learn from that experience? What are we not going to do again? And your little 6-year-old self can smile because they learned something. And they could feel stronger and more powerful moving forward. Because it had nothing to do with the fact that you weren't or weren't good enough. Your heart was in the right place. It's not your fault theirs wasn't. Your mind was in the right place. It's not your fault that theirs wasn't. You can't take their pain and make it yours and start judging yourself because they judged themselves and things failed, right? We take on the energy of other people that we interact with. It's like quantum entanglement as souls. We get entangled with other energy. That's why claiming sovereignty is so important. That your energy is not affected by the energy of other people. Don't talk bad about yourself, right? If you want to look at the reverses of these shadow cards that I pulled, the opposite of excuses is growth-oriented. Spiritually irresponsible, the reverse is correcting your mistakes. Negative self-talk, the opposite is positive self-talk. You didn't fuck up. You did a great job. You're going to do better next time. Right? Terrible judge of character. The reverse is clairsentient. It's trusting your intuition and the emotions you're picking up on and knowing that if you're empathic and you're feeling like you're not good enough or you're feeling depressed, that's not your energy. It's the person you're around. They're the one not feeling good enough and they are the one depressed. It's not your energy. You're not a terrible judge of character. You feel their energy clearly. It's not your energy. If you're an empath and you're around someone and you're feeling high anxiety and anxious and you're afraid to make a mistake, when you're around them, it's because they're extremely anxious and afraid to make a mistake. If you feel highly critical of yourself around someone and you're nervous, it's because they are highly critical of themselves and nervous. And you're picking up on their energy. It's not yours. Especially if you have no reason to be depressed. You have no reason to be self-critical. Right? Learn clairsentience. Learn the emotional cues. It's not your fucking energy. It's theirs. When I was living at home with my parents, there was not a night that didn't go by that I wasn't crying or praying to God that I just didn't wake up in the morning. I was so fucking depressed. I did not want to wake up. And I'd move out. Something would happen. I'd end up moving out and I wouldn't cry anymore. I wouldn't feel that way anymore. And it didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand then. And then life would happen. I'd end up having to move back home. And then it would happen all over. I'd start crying again every night. And I'd start wanting to die. And that cycle happened multiple times over the course of my life, moving in and out of my parents' house. And every single time I moved out, the very same night, I wasn't fucking crying. And I wasn't depressed. And I wasn't hoping to not wake up. And then one day I'm telling someone this and they're like, "You're an empath." And I said, "What the fuck is that?" And I started researching empaths. And I said, "Oh my God." Not a terrible judge of character. You feel very clearly. If you're depressed or sad around someone, or you feel bad for them, you feel pity, it's because they pity themselves. They're pitiful. They feel bad because no one's doing enough for them. If you feel bad for someone and you feel like you need to do everything for them, it's because they're feeling bad for themselves and they're wanting everybody to do everything for them. They use people consciously or unconsciously. That's what the fuck they're doing. The opposite of reckless is thoughtful. You want to bridge out of this energy? Get in the light. That's the light attributes of those cards. Be growth oriented, correct your mistakes, positive self-talk. You're strong as fuck. You're capable of doing this. You're capable of rewiring and creating better patterns, creating better habits. You can heal from this. You don't need the fucking closure. Not from them. The justice is going to come from right in here. When you re-empower yourself and start seeing things, right? Hanged man from a different perspective. When you start owning your own truth, right? And allowing yourself to heal and stop being conflicted over pain and wounds that were not yours. People take their wounds and stick them on you and say, your wounds are my wounds. Now we have the same wound. My ex had the fucking balls to say to me, you're going to become exactly like I am. You'll see. You're going to turn into me. And I looked him dead in his face. I said, I will never become you. I will never become you. Sociopathic, not give a fuck, using people to get by in life or what? No, I will never be like you. A liar, a charmer, someone who uses people, who manipulates people, gaslights people. No, honey, I will never be you. You're not going to put your wounds on me. I don't think you understand. He was a spiritual opponent through the fucking roof. And I came out on the winning end of that battle between me and May. For real. The light attribute you're moving into. We have the scribe. Okay. Now, the light attribute of the scribe is preserving knowledge and information. The shadow attribute is altering the facts or plagiarizing others' work. So if you're moving into the light attribute of the scribe energy with a knowledge that there will be a temptation of the shadow to alter the facts or exaggerate or whatever when you're storytelling, even if you're writing in your journal, right? That you would take on potentially another person's experience and mold it to be your own experience when maybe your experience is a little bit different. It's unique to you, right? I would write down the events of things. If you really want to start understanding people and patterns, or start to heal with yourself to where you're not conflicted, I would start journaling, because if you have a hard time recollecting, or you deal with people who gaslight you in general, maybe that's just an unfortunate pattern that manifests and finds you often. People who gaslight, you have lessons with them. I would start writing a journal and making it as accurate to your memory as possible every day. Because when you go back and reread it, you'll be really clear, you know, and you could say, no, that's not what was said, or that's not what was done between you, and choose accordingly what you want to do. You know, if someone was using you or manipulating you in some way in the past, and you're like, how could people be like that? Right? How could people just use people? How could people just abuse people? How could people just take other people for granted, take advantage of them? How could people just fucking lie and essentially steal energy from other people, right? Energy vampires. How can they just do that? I think that the biggest start would be embracing forgiveness for what you don't know. Forgiveness for what those people keep hidden. Their pain, that's a secret. Because I saw the potential in my ex. I saw the potential in my dad. You know, I saw the potential in friends along the way. And I knew that there was pain that they never talked about. Like my ex mentioned certain names of people, but never went into any detail surrounding them. And it was painful for him to even bring them up. He wouldn't talk to me about it. So why is he the way he is? I don't know. It's beyond my understanding. I didn't experience his life. I don't know why he is the way he is. But if he's taking the pain of other people and wearing it, that's what he's doing to me. He's taking his wounds and saying, here, now my wounds are your wounds. And I'm saying, oh, no, 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 we don't do that. He learned that other people have wounds and you take them and wear them. It's really heavy. And that's what they're doing to you, right? These wounded people were taught that other wounded people wound them, and everybody wears the wounds and shows the wounds. And you're not like that. You don't want your wounds to be anybody else's wounds. You don't even want people's wounds that they already have that you never put there to exist. You want to help them heal. I would start forgiving people for what you don't know. If they're not giving you closure, it's because they were never given closure. People hurt them and they never got answers. They're only doing what they were taught. It's not personal to you. They don't even know they owe you an apology because they don't even know they're owed an apology. Whoever hurt them owes them an apology and they might never get it. Yeah, it's not your fault. Whoever you dealt with, like, be aware of that. It's not your fault. You were probably sent here for that person as an earth angel so that they could choose whether or not they were going to stagnate or grow. They chose to stagnate. That's not your fault. You were sent here by the higher powers that be to give them an option, grow or stagnate. You were never meant to make the choice for them. You were only meant to present the choice to them. And that's the difference. It's not your fault that they chose what they chose. So don't blame yourself or be hard on yourself for something that ultimately was beyond your control. You know, it's not your fault. You stay in your light. Learn from the past, right? Not to get caught up in potential, to remember that you're empathic, to remember that it's their pain, not yours, and don't make it yours. What you're feeling is it's their energy. It's not even your energy. Like, don't get it twisted next time around. Catch it. Catch it. Remember who you are and that you are not them. All right. So with that, I will have the timestamps in the comments in just a little bit. Thank you, everybody who popped in and leaves comments in the replay or dropped likes. I appreciate all of you so much, and I will catch you again soon. Bye, everyone.